Today on Cyberwork, I talk with Ginny Morton, project management professional at Dell and veteran in the U.S. Army, about the practice of cybersecurity project management in both for-profit and military sectors. We talk Scrum and Agile certifications, building the best team for the project, and tapping into your personal power in all of your work. That's all today on Cyberwork. Also, let's talk about Cyberwork Applied, a new series from Cyberwork. Whether you want to learn how cross-site scripting attacks work, set up a man-in-the-middle attack, or get a blow-by-blow recap of the Equifax breach, expert InfoSec instructors and industry practitioners will teach these cybersecurity skills and show you how those skills apply to real-world scenarios. Best of all, it's 100% free. Just go to infosecinstitute.com/learn or check out the link in the description below and get started with fun hands-on training that keeps the cybersecurity skills you have relevant. That's infosecinstitute.com/learn. And now, let's begin the show. Welcome to this week's episode of the Cyberwork with InfoSec podcast. Each week, we talk with a different industry thought leader about cybersecurity trends, the way those trends affect the work of InfoSec professionals, and offer tips for breaking in or moving up the ladder in the cybersecurity industry. Ginny Morton is a senior cybersecurity advisor, program management at Dell, and has spent much of her career in the project management space for cybersecurity, previously working at TEKsystems and in both the Texas Army National Guard and the U.S. Army. So our recent guest, project manager Jackie Olshak, recommended Ginny for the show. And as we had a ton of people tune in to see Jackie's episode, we realized that our listeners are pretty passionate and thirsty for more project management in IT and cyber content as a career path. So I'm really looking forward to talking with Ginny about her career path, as well as some of the unique aspects of doing project management work on a federal and military level. So Ginny, thank you for joining me and welcome to Cyberwork.
Thank you, and it's great to be here.
Thank you very much. So I'd like to start with the usual origin story question. What first got you interested in IT and security? I see that you did IT project management going all the way back to your earliest days in the U.S. Army. So did you learn these skills in your military training, or did you bring them to your military training?
So that's an interesting question. The first I'm very interested in IT is actually from my mother because she was a restaurant manager, and that's when Windows all that came out. She wanted somebody to make poster for her to make words and all that and spreadsheet. So she pretty much told me, Ginny, you're it. Please learn Excel. So I found a way to learn Excel, and I was able to do everything for her. And fast forward to the military, and I wasn't even in the IT field. I was in the warehouse fields processing repair parts. However, I guess I typed really very fast, and my boss was looking at me. So normal people, instead of processing 30 parts a day, I was able to do 300 parts a day. I don't know, it was my typing skill or anything. So she put me in the office, and at that time, I was doing a little bit command printing on the Unix system, and I had no idea what that was. I knew I was in the root, but that's all I knew. But that's when I realized, hey, I might be good at that. Let me go pursue this field. So I got an IT degree, computer information system in the bachelor, and management information system as master and graduate degree. So here I am.
Okay, and then so you brought your degrees and your experience with you to the U.S. Army. Then is that right?
Of course. So, and I was fortunate enough to branch Signal Corps, which is the Army communication branch. So when we go into training, and of course the Army did provide me enough technical training to understand what the network is, what is the OSMI model, but it did not really teach you how to manage it. So my first job is really, hey, you're in this first job, you got the basic skill. You need to enable us to talk. Us by mean is my customer by mean is my bosses, and they all are at me. And it's okay, you better make it happen. So guess what? Swim or sink. We made it happen.
There you go. That's probably still the best way to learn anything, I imagine, is if you have
That's for sure.
Yeah. So like I said, a few months back, we had your colleague, Jackie Olshak, on to talk about cybersecurity project management. And we were delighted to find out that people are quite eager to hear more about it. We got 1,000 listeners for the episode in just the first week alone. So we were like, let's talk more about cybersecurity project management. So for those who are just considering this type of work, tell us what a project manager does in a cybersecurity space like yourself. How does your work fit into the larger security landscape at Dell?
So yes, I work with Jackie, and
Hmm.
so I heard her talking about this podcast. And Jackie is a really phenomenal project manager. So
Yeah.
I'm glad we have her in the field.
Cool.
So with your question, first of all, I want to say like in as a project manager in cybersecurity, it's really come down to, and I want to break it down like this, and come down to these three parts, which is your personal power, your expert power, and your positional power. So, and I can tell you 70% is like for me, is personal powers.
Okay.
20% is my expert power. Expert power as in what kind of knowledge I have in the cybersecurity field. And 10% is my position power. So my position power, which I'm a project manager, but I don't own the team. I do
Mm.
have like all the teammates, everybody I work with, they have a manager to report to. So how you as a project manager go into your organization to motivate people to get the job done. And that's what a project manager do. Like as long as my experience wise, that's what I do in any field, even in the army or in Adele.
Right. Now, so what, can you sort of walk us through what your average workday is like? Like, what are some tasks that you do every single day as a project manager?
So I would say from planning the project, making sure everything goes straight, remove impediment, putting out fires, and communicate with people, read people, gain commitment, gain trust, build team, motivate the team, and
Mhm.
all of that I have to do.
Okay, so when you say putting out fires, like what are some of the average fires that happen in a project? What's something that just grinds it to a halt that you need to come in and sort of untangle the mess?
So I can tell you it's not specific for one
Mhm.
organization. I think
Sure.
in general, because whenever you roll out a project, let's say you have a software to roll out, it doesn't just involve your software. It involves the customer. It involves the infrastructure team. How do you build that? So some of the fire is, and we got this application, we need testing, but the business team sometimes most of the time they're busy, and how are you engaging with them? Or maybe when major stakeholder because they overwork, how are you going to engage them to make them understand, to let them understand your work is important,
Right.
your engineer work is important, how they respond to you. And that what the main portion of the project manager is, where we make our money, is to get commitment, get people involved.
Okay, so what are the aspects of your job that you enjoy the most, and what are also more importantly the aspects of your job that might not be as fun, whether it's paperwork or telling people to do things they don't want to do, but that people should know is integral to the work. So, like, what are your favorite things, and then what are the least favorite but still important things?
And I think my favorite thing to do is really to build a team, because
Hmm.
the team will work. Doesn't matter what organization you go to. Why are they engineer? Why are they architect? It's because they
Right.
work their way. So they do want to produce results. So what I enjoy the most is I go in and I see them working hard. What can I help them with? I can
I
help
see.
them with coordination, remove any impediment between departments, and to get them to work. They don't have to worry about other things. They don't have to worry about scheduling. They don't have to worry about producing their progress. They don't have to even worry about talking to their boss about what they're
Hmm.
doing, because that's what they got you for. They got
I
you
see.
so you will be able to translate a different language. And I think
Hmm.
that's what I enjoy the most. Not only I'm able to talk to the team, and I'm able to per se brag about my team in front of the management, and the work they have done, and in a way that the management understand without going into the configuration detail or any detail, to make the team shine.
Oh, that's
So that's
interesting.
what I enjoy the most.
That's interesting to know that that you're also sort of the mouthpiece of the teams. I didn't really realize that, and I know we talk to a lot of cybersecurity professionals, and they always say
Mhm.
that it's really important to have communication skills, even if you're incredibly in the weeds with what you do. But it's also interesting to know that the project manager can be your kind of voice for you if you're not the sort that likes to talk to the board or the trustees or anything.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, in what ways does having a project manager as part of your security team improve the work of cybersecurity itself? Like, what does your team do better, safer, or more efficiently because of your work on the team?
So I would say every single project I implement for the cybersecurity team, and it doesn't matter in what organization, is There's a need for that tool. There's a need for that tool to improve the network security to meet the business requirement. So in turn, when every tools that you provide to the network, to the environment, you have strengthened the security of the organization. So in
Mhm.
turn, your customer are protected. When your customer know they are being protected because you're using up-to-date technology, you have a good project management team to execute however technology that's up-to-date that need to be implemented. And your stakeholder, your customer, or your stockholder will
Mhm.
have confidence to your organization. Hey, I want to invest, I want to do business with you because we trust you. You will not lose our information to malicious party.
Right.
So that's a confidence building for what I do, and
Yeah.
I really enjoy what I do.
I love that. So, you were talking about in terms of like one of your favorite things to do is putting teams together. Now, I'm trying to get a sense of this. So, like in Dell, are there like is there kind of like a pool of IT people or project people, and you're looking at the scope of the project and you're saying, okay, Bob and Ginny and George would be the best for this one. Are you sort of putting the teams together in that way, or are you sort of like adding? Like, I guess I would like to sort of get a sense of what
Sure.
it's like in a granular way.
So in most organization, I will tell you as same as the army.
Okay,
Most organization, you have teams to do different stuff. It depends on how your organization.
sure.
Let's say if I make U.S. Army as example, you have your infantry guys, you have your logistical guy, and you have
Hmm.
your engineer, and but you also have a IT portion. So what the IT do is making sure whatever equipment they use is to test. That's the day-to-day basis. And that's what most IT people or cybersecurity people they have day-to-day work. However, just like the Army or Dell or even Apple, Tesla, they have a certain product to produce outside of their day-to-day work. So their product is in, let's say, your day-to-day work, security,
Hmm.
incidents response. I'm looking at all this law. I have this to report. I have this. But all of a sudden, we have a new tools have to implement. So that become a project. And so do I start my day-to-day work to concentrate on you? What do I do? And that's when the PM come to. PM does not really select people. That's when
Okay.
the management team give you a
Yep.
team of people. Okay, I have this team, I give it to you. So how the people are given to you. So the team are built because management know this project is important to roll out. So you
I
have
see.
this team, you have this team, everybody get commitment. So now you have this team. They're from all different pillars, department. How you motivate them, how you build a relationship with this team
Right.
during this project duration.
Okay. Now, have you ever come into a situation where there was an IT team that had not had a project management before, manager before, and were just kind of everyone was just doing a little bit of everything and nothing, no one was sort of specializing in anything? Have you had to really come in and like just sweep up and like start from the ground up before?
All the time.
All the time. Okay.
And
What's that
actually
like?
it surprisingly it goes really well, at least
Hmm.
for me, is because everybody is busy, everybody is craving, looking for help. And when you
Right.
go in, but when you go in, your attitude is, hey, I'm here to help you. So
Mhm.
here's what I'm going to do, here's what you can tell me what's going on right now, and you tell me what ABC, oh, you got to get it done, my deadline is here. And most likely I already know what the deadline, but I want them to tell me, so I gain their understanding. I know what they understand, what they understanding. In turn, I gauge it. So when they finish telling me, I'll say, okay, hold up, you're the engineer. So what I'm going to do is here what I can help you. I can help you do ABC. You don't have to worry about infrastructure. You don't have to worry about the business because that's what I'm here for you. I will do what A, B, and C for you. So in
Mhm.
turn, could you concentrate on architecting the network,
Right.
building the configuring whatever software appliances you have? 9 out of 10, I actually haven't seen an engineer or any stakeholder, any teammate would be like, I don't want you to do that for me. Nobody will say that. They are
No.
grateful because you are
Yeah.
here to help them.
Right. And I think that's, sometimes I think it's really easy to get paralyzed by all of the choices. What do I do next? Where do I go from here? And here you're giving them the answer. Do this next. Do this thing next. Is
Exactly.
that right? Okay. So can you tell me about the certifications that you hold? I know you're a certified Scrum Master and Scrum Fundamentals certified in project management. but all the way over also to CCNA and networking. Can you talk about what each cert has done to either help you learn the skills to do the tasks that you do or show employers that you have those skills?
I cannot stress that certification is really important.
Hmm.
So, and I will start from the Scrum Master and my Scale Agile Scrum Master cert. So those certs are really to confirm what I'm doing is the right approach. So what Agile is not really a tool or skill set. Yes, they give you tools, they
Right.
give you a skill set, but it's what are you going to use? Which tool and skill set are you going to pick in
Right.
order to drive result? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what skill set you have. Are you driving result? Are you closing project on time? Are you making the organization better? So the skill set is what I learned, so I can apply it to the project management skill, and it has been beneficial for me. And I can talk back about the Cisco certification CCNA, what it is, and I'm lucky I had the opportunity because the great U.S. Army put me through that certification
Hmm.
along with many other stuff, and it was great because it's not like the skill set actually serve me because I don't manipulate the network. I
Sure.
do not configure the network. But what it gives me is confidence.
Yes.
When my engineer come and talk about, let's say, for example, oh, I have this on DMZ, I have to put something on the core layer.
Right.
I don't have to deep down have like, I don't know what they're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
I know exactly what it is when you're talking about subnet, when you're talking about VLAN. I know what you're talking about. And even though like when your knowledge become, you don't have to understand the detail, but you know the gist of it. In turn, you become more and more confident. And when things come out that you don't know, let's say there's a term called blue cat. I didn't know what that was. I can just Google it. And
Right.
Google will tell me instead of Google 10 things, now that because I have this certification base, I only have to Google one thing.
Yeah. Now, are there any other certifications that you're in the process of studying for, or do you have what you need for the moment?
So, and nobody will ever have what they need to do everything.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
So, and I
Yeah.
think if,
Not if you want to grow, right?
exactly.
Hmm.
Um, I wouldn't say that I'm still pursuing, but I think that's one certification in cybersecurity, actually a couple of them, and people should, anybody who's interested in the cybersecurity space
Hmm.
should look into it. The first one is really, Jackie mentioned that too, is the Security Plus, because
Yes.
this is that welcome to cybersecurity. Let me teach you the lingo. Let me teach you what really cybersecurity is.
Yeah.
And when you get really, really good at it, you have some experience in the cybersecurity field. The next one I would say everybody should strive for is CISP, which is CISSP.
Hmm.
When I say drive for, I don't mean you need to get the certification. Honestly, the certification is so hard. I try,
Okay.
and and
Yeah.
but even though I didn't get the certification, the knowledge you learn to apply to this cybersecurity world is
Right.
very important because many of the security lingo, why they do certain things they do, what kind of encryption is good and why are they good, and does encryption, what's out there, is it just encrypting the thing or is it message integrity? Oh, by the way, the credit card you use, the chips, what is this for compared to
Yeah.
the whole world? Like in the army, we have a common access card. Why does it have a chips? They said there's a certification inside. Why is that? So all these questions can be answered through that course. And when you come out, even though you might not have the cert, but you have the knowledge, and then you understand everything from knowledge become common sense, and you will be more and more confident, and your future will be unlimited.
Now, are you PMP certified? Is that something you're seeking?
I'm actually not.
Okay.
And no offense, I love Houston PMI
Yeah.
Institute. I went through the course and it was mainly process driven
Right.
and very in detail.
Hmm.
And it's very beneficial. It depends on what field you are. It's just
Right.
me personally, it didn't benefit me as
Okay.
much.
Yep.
It just because when I'm going through my project management, it's driving results in the software development world, in the cybersecurity world, it's hard to make a year plan. You can't
Yes.
make a year plan because the plan change. You can spend 70% of your project management to do like a work breakdown structured into detail.
Hmm.
but end up it will change. So what I do is I broke it down into quarter, into month, and then I make sure we produce. And guess what? Literally, I know there's a term for it called agile.
Right. Okay.
So that's the certification I decided to go for.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. And I mean, like I say, I have no stake in one way or the other whether you have the PMP, but it's just seen as sort of like the top of the hill in terms of like project management stuff. So I like knowing like the different tools for, like I said, the different tools for different jobs and stuff. So if Agile and Scrum work better for what you do in these types of projects, then that's helpful for our listeners as well to know that you don't need to collect every cert to start doing the work.
You really don't. And but the good news about PMP cert is they are really transforming to the agile format.
Yep.
So for anybody that does not have any PM, like real, I would say private sector PM experience, let's say you're in the army,
Hmm.
you're doing the work, or you're in the organization, you're already doing the work, but they just
Yes.
don't call it the PM work. It
Right.
is still very beneficial for you to pursue the PMP or the Scrum Master or the Scale Agile. Any of those certs will help you at least to get your foot into the door. You
Yeah.
need those certs.
Now, speaking of, you'd mentioned that you've done project management tasks both for for-profit companies like Dell, where you're currently employed, as well as for the U.S. Army and the Texas Army National Guard. Can you speak about any differences in the way you do project management work between the two? Are there things like security clearances or other high secrecy issues that affect the methodology between one and the other?
So the difference between the nonprofit and the profit, it depends on what their goal, but the way
Hmm.
of work to me is very similar. So with the Army, your motivation is not money because the organization will strive for money. Your
Right.
motivation is keeping people alive.
Yeah.
How do you, as IT, as a cybersecurity person, keep somebody downrange alive? Like you might think, one might think it doesn't connect, but if you don't secure your network, you don't secure for all the intelligence, then malicious hacker can go in, or your enemy country can go in and look at that information, know all your location. In turn,
Hmm.
you cost the lives of many people. So
Hmm.
that's your motivation into
Right.
keeping the network safe. And in civilian, it's profit driven, right? How,
Right.
like I said before, how are you going to maintain the business? Because for cybersecurity or any IT world, as long as you're not the sales team, you're here to spend money.
Hmm.
And so how are you going to continue to spend money? You have to enable the team that make money to continue to make money. So and as long as you understand that you're here to support the sales team to make money, the business is everything. You need to listen to your business. You need to listen to who stand up, who maintain the organization. In turn, you will be a very good provider and very good support element.
Now, yeah, I guess I'm asking also because I know when you get pretty high level up in cybersecurity, there are certain government clearances that you need to do your work. Now, do you? I mean, I know because you're in the military, you probably have those clearances. But for
Mhm.
people who are trying to work in that sphere, are there certain sort of military level clearances that you would need to do the work of project management?
So it depends. So
Hmm.
if you work in the military, yes, you do. Like for me in the military, I will have to maintain a top secret clearance because of the
Okay.
position I'm maintaining
Right.
and the materials I'm touching. However, in most industry, as long as you are not like General Dynamic or L3 that work directly to the military, they are the military contracting.
Hmm.
You security clearance are not required.
Yeah.
What it require, for example, in my experience right now with my organization is I am in the federal space for my organization. I have to be a US citizen. I have to have a clear background. So
Hmm.
these two are very important. And I
Right.
think it's not just in my organization. I think in most places, a clear background is really important. US citizen might not be a requirement, but the clear background is really important.
Sure. Now, you've climbed pretty far up the ladder in the project management sphere. Can you talk about what combination of skills or experiences that you would want, to work on to reach the next highest level? Like, what types of projects do master level project managers get to do that are too complex or demanding for people who are just entering the industry?
So, and I would say don't be afraid to start low. I
Hmm.
started low and
Okay.
I started as a project coordinator, which is the assistant of the project manager.
Okay.
So don't be afraid of that, because even when you're coming from another industry, and let's say you have the experience, you have the maturity, you know you're a true leader, you know you how to build team, but you don't have the industry experience. Spend 1 year to start on a lower level, to get the lingo, to get the knowledge in. And once you get the language, you get the knowledge, and because you have your work ethic, and because you have whatever it takes to get the project done, you drive result, people can see that instantly. You will have that kind of connection. And for people who are in, especially in the military, and or maybe not in IT field, I would say IT or cybersecurity recruiters are everywhere in the United States. Update your resume,
Yep.
get help to update your resume, put it on Indeed, LinkedIn, Monster, whatever you
Yeah.
can think of, put it on there. Recruiters will start reaching out to you. And that's when you start. Don't be afraid to start as a contractor, because that's how I started, as a
Yeah.
contractor, and then work your way into a full-time, a promotable position.
Now, what are some of the skills or interests that people who want to be project managers should have? Like, what type of people succeed and thrive in this space?
And I would say, like before, the triangle factor, which is your personal power, your
Hmm.
expert power, and your position power. And the most important thing is your personal power. What
Hmm.
that means is leadership. How
Hmm.
are you going to empower your team? How do you know how to encourage your team? Do you know how to recognize give recognition when people are doing a good job, truly, wholeheartedly, not just a checkbox? Okay, I'm going to give you recognition because you do good. No,
Yeah.
literally understand what they do so good, and stop bad culture. For example,
Mm.
point blaming. If you
Yep.
can do that, and you can express that during the interview, or during your job interview, or whenever you pursue the next job, in the project management world. And I can tell you, many management are looking for that personality. They won't
Yeah.
tell you, but that's what they're
That's
looking
what they're
for.
looking for. Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. Now, for people who might feel stuck in their current job or intimidated by the prospect of trying to get into project management from something else, are there something you'd recommend that they start working on tonight that would help them understand the work and begin working towards a career change in project management?
And I would say, start certification,
Okay.
whatever certification you can start.
Hmm.
Listen to podcasts like this,
Hmm.
go online, Google anything you might have interest on, or just type in cybersecurity and read some headline, and to see where it will take you.
Yeah. Now, has the project management field changed at all in the face of work from home orders and COVID? Does it normally require close collaboration that's currently being disrupted? And if so, what are you doing to get around that?
So I'm blessed to be in a company that all believe in work from home before
Hmm.
COVID.
Yeah.
So I can tell you, working from home, for my experience, is actually way more productive than
Yeah.
going into the office.
Agreed.
And I get to just walk into my office and start my work, and sometimes I'll be in my pajamas, so I don't
Hmm.
have to worry about a whole lot of things. And when I'm hungry, I can just go grab lunch. I can take a break. It
Yeah.
doesn't take but 15, 20 minutes. Think about it. If you have to drive an hour to go to work, your lunch is an hour. You have to leave the office, come back, and your workday is actually not that much. And but you feel like you work for a long time because you're not in your house.
Yes.
So to me, in like working from home, I think it makes our organization more productive and makes everybody more productive.
With the now that, I mean, it sounds like you were working from home before that anyway, but has now that everyone's working from home, has that changed anything about the sort of like like the what how you do what you do? Have you had to like make adjustments in terms of methodology, or has your whole team always been sort of working in their
So
home
not
studios?
everybody,
Hmm.
and I can tell you, yes, there's some adjustment. For example, me talking to you in Zoom right now. If this is the first time you talk on Zoom, being in the camera, looking at somebody else, you will be very uncomfortable. So
Right.
practice,
Yeah.
and everybody is practicing, everybody is adjusting. At first, nobody want to turn on their camera, but
Right.
once in a while, when you get close to your team, we just want to know what everybody look like. So we
Yeah.
turn on the camera, we say hi, and then
Uh-huh.
we have a good time. And sometimes we even use it for virtual happy hours. And in all honesty, with this nowadays virtual world, many people are talking to their family this way because they're everywhere in the world. So yes, there's adjustment, but the adjustment is very quick and the transition is very
Yeah.
smooth to me so far.
Yeah, it definitely seems like people have figured it out pretty quickly. I think people were pleasantly surprised by that. So as we wrap up today, do you see the role of project management changing in the coming years? Are there some ways that people who are studying and learning to enter this industry now can future proof their skills based on how the trends might go?
Yeah, I think project management is changing all the time.
Okay.
It's just because from before how business come up to now, Apple, Tesla, Dell, and all this organization can continue to drive and excel and make a good profit regardless of COVID or whatever politics that affect it. How are they still continue to prosper? Because they have to change the process. They have to change their project management.
Mhm.
So if you're already in the industry, please keep up your skill. If you're not and you're interested, get some base certification, pay attention to current events and be confident when you want one industry, go into the meeting, go into
Yeah.
the interview with confidence. Don't be afraid to fail. You might not get the interview, you might not get the job on the first 10 times, but do not stop trying.
Yeah. Yeah. Tap into your personal power, like you said.
Of
So
course.
yeah, so as we wrap up, do you have any projects or anything you want to promote? Is there anything next for you, or where can our listeners find you online?
You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm
Mhm.
on LinkedIn / Ginny CYC. And CYC used to be my name a long time ago when I came
Mhm.
from Hong Kong.
Okay.
So it's Ginny CYC. Or I'm on Facebook as well.
Mhm.
And you can reach me by email.
Great.
I like to help. I like to help people with their resume, and I love to help people, especially military people, to transition because I went through this. It wasn't
Yeah.
easy, but
Yeah.
you know what? I got through it, and I want to help you to get through it too.
Well, Ginny, thank you so much for sharing your time and insights with us today. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, Chris.
Thank you. And as always, thank you to our listeners at home and at work for listening and watching. New episodes of the Cyberwork podcast are available every Monday at 1 p.m. Central, both on video at our YouTube page at www.infosecinstitute.com/podcast or on audio wherever fine podcasts are downloaded. And I think if you want to rate and review us five stars, that would always be helpful. Also, don't forget to check out our hands-on training series, Cyberwork Applied. Tune in as expert InfoSec instructors teach you a new cybersecurity skill and show you how that skill applies to real-world scenarios. Go to infosecinstitute.com/learn to stay up to date on all things cyberwork. Thank you once again to Ginny Morton, and thank you all again for watching and listening. We'll speak to you next week.